Ho-sail!
Ho-sail!
It's a Cherokee greeting. Wave the great feather for the good of it. Aho! Today, the title of my theme today is The Great Ass of Egypt. And that in Spanish would sound more like El Señor Asno Grande, that way. And this is my portrait of the great ass. I've replicated this from Egypt. And the title of, I'm going to do a litany poem from Egypt. It's 4,000 years old, along with these illustrations. And it's called, the poem itself is called The Rebel in the Soul. And this is the rebel. And he'll be speaking, you know, in the pronoun with, this is the ba, which is translated in here as soul. The relation of the two words is the word soul, coming through English, German, all the way back to the Greeks, you know, olios is something that moves quickly, very quickly. So that's kind of what here, the ba is a hawk with a man's head, like that. So something that is fleeting and mercurial. So that's what things are here. What it's about is that this is an initiate into the temple. This is a piece for initiates. And that these initiates are very evolved intellectuals, high intellectual people. And here, the rebel, within the intellect, the rebel is what takes place. This is the individual. This is where the individual occurs. And by now, he has, you know, seen enough of the empirical world to really not want to go on living with it. And he really thinks that if he could somehow end his life, suicide, and he could get a shortcut to beyond, to that great place. And he wants to convince his soul to support him in that. And he uses all kinds of maneuvers and things to bring about this persuasion. And his soul, you know, contends with him and tells him, you know, how that's really not going to work out, you know, the way you want to. So that's what the poem is. And I'm going to say more about the things that I'm illustrating it with when I finish the poem. It is not known where, this is a papyrus, this is an engraving on the tomb walls. So I don't know where they found the papyrus, but it showed up in Germany in the 19th century there. This translation was very recent, in the 60s here. So it's a really amazing page. But the first part of it, I have the impression that it was in a scroll, the first part of it was damaged. So it just starts, you know, right in the middle of something that's already been going on between the rebel and the soul. I spoke to my soul. I replied to what it had said. Oh, now this I cannot bear. My soul replies not. Indeed, worse than anger is this indifference. Don't go, my soul, stay. Only with me will you arise. If I do not enmesh you in my body as the cord within the net, through no fault of yours, you will be lost. They will judge my soul, for I have gone astray, for I have not obeyed, rushing to die before death has come, casting to the flame that which the soul sustains. Penetrate me on that day of trial. You will stand up on the other side, enacting the miracle of the Creator, such as his nature. He comes forth by extracting himself from himself. It is mad, O soul. You endure the pain of life, denying me death until death has come, to enjoy through me the beyond. Would that be worse? See, life is but a movement of eternal return. Even trees fall. Unhappy me, crushed beneath the weight of my heart, which he will raise up in the mystical encounter with the Lord of transformations hidden in my body. My soul replied to what I had just said. What kind of man are you? Have you lived out your life to its conclusion? You fret over life like the Lord of heaps. I've spoken. I take no part in it. Nepha is already 1 foot off the ground. If you do not take care, any evil could possess you. You will be brought to a stop. Your name will die. If I could heed my soul, I would not impede the union of its heart with me. Then by my hand it would arrive, blissful at the beyond, like the one within his pyramid, who stood up, survivor of his own burial. But in this body, which is yours, I am the progeny of the great ass, the I. In you I call forth the other, O soul unawakened. I am the progeny of I, a fire which will never cool. I cause the other to burst forth, O soul unflamed. I consume the true source in sustaining the shadow. I wake the other hungry for torment. Deeper than death, I destroy the soul in its husk. Thus you will never arrive. Endure, my soul. Assist in the creation of my divine ear. He will present the offering rising from the tomb on the day of burial. He will install himself in everlastingness. My soul spoke to me in reply to what I had just said. Remember, such a burial is a sorry matter. Tears flow. The lost man is cast from his house and flung upon the hill. You shall never reach that summit to gaze upon the rising and setting sun. Even those who shaped granite to perpetuate in the pyramid virtues of creation, builders like gods, their scepters fell to dust, as on the riverbank. The unawakened who lies dead without air, the flood takes him, the sun takes him, fish talk to him in shallow water. My soul said, listen to me. See, it is good for a man to understand how to follow the day and overcome despair. I spoke to my soul in reply to what he just said. Aye, loathsome is my name. Aye, worse than the stench of carrion under the burning sky. Ah, loathsome is my name. Aye, worse than a woman who lies to her man. To whom shall I speak today? Brothers are evil. Friends today cannot be loved. To whom shall I speak today? Gentleness is overthrown. Violence rules all. To whom shall I speak today? Forgotten is the past. Good deeds go unreturned. To whom shall I speak today? Hearts are rapacious. There is not a heart for a man to put his trust in. To whom shall I speak today? There are no trustworthy friends. One is pushed into the darkness before one can even cry out. To whom shall I speak today? For corruption roams the earth, and there is no end to it. To die to me today is health to the sick, like deliverance from slavery. Oh, to die to me today is like longing to see home after years held in bondage. In truth, he who dwells within will absolve this crime and its transgressor. In truth, he who dwells within will rise in the holy mark of night to consecrate the supreme offering to the temples. In truth, he who dwells within the knower will not be denied when he holds Ra to his word. My soul said to me, you are hanging up your misery, but that peg, it belongs to me, brother. As long as you burn, you belong to life. You say you want me with you in the beyond? Forget the beyond. When you bring your flesh to rest and thus reach the beyond, in that stillness shall I alight upon you. Then united we shall form the abode, for above is exalted by below, as it is written in the scriptures. Oh. So here, to illustrate all of this and some of the things that are in it here, I've always introduced the ass appears often in various papyrus scripts. In this one, he is being used because the ass, this kind of animal, is the most stubborn animal in the world, you know, and everybody knows him that way. And all of the way that this is being portrayed. Again, remember, this is an initiate into the temple. And it sounds like that when this is taking place, it is at the end of one of the early periods when the government has collapsed and the mob is like, you know, January 6th, the mob is running around destroying everything. And that seems to be the time that this is going on. So it might be, you know, around 4,000 years, the intermediate period of that. So we're going to have all that. One of the things he says here I want to introduce is the Nepha. The Nepha has 1 foot off the ground. That's very interesting. It is variously conceived that this human body is covered like with a sheath-like membrane. And if you ever take like a raw egg and break it open, the yolk in there, the yolk is contained in this membrane. You can take the membrane off and the yolk will be free. So the membrane protects the yolk, and that's the kind of idea that we have here. The Navajo have very much the similar idea. They call it chindi. If you read any of like Tony Hildebrand or any of the people that write novels about the Navajo, the chindi will certainly be appearing in there. So just like the membrane coming off the egg, it, for a while, you know, it's going to last even if the yolk has been dissolved or consumed. So that's the idea here. If the initiate here, if he ends his life, that membrane still will exist. It still would go on because that's your protection. And in the ancient time in Egypt, there was an amulet. I have made it just to demonstrate this, what this is here. To see how, with ourselves, we communicate with her. Nepha is a feminine pronoun, with our arms crossed like this and stroke down. As we stroke down and we say, you know, she is always with us in her voluntary love. And any times we're in stress or anxiety, if we do that and continue with this kind of massaging words, is what this is. Now, people wore this as much as people today wear a cross. They wear a cross for protection. And this, I made this, you know, for a demonstration. So it's called, you know, neha, or it can be called, you know, a kip ben. And it's usually made of like a red hematite. People wear these, and that's very good to know. The other thing is that here I have as an artifact, this is a Nile River basket. It's been woven with the rush of the river there. So it's kind of old. And in the center of it, I have a scarab. And this scarab is called Kepra. And Kepra is todopoderoso. He is everything. His name means evolutions. And the evolutions embody creation, becoming, transformations, and he's the symbol of resurrection. Myriads of these scarabs have been made for thousands upon thousands of years, and they are still being made. That this scarab is amazing, for in the world of objects of symbols and meaning, the scarab, Kepra, is chief of endurance. Chief of endurance. And now I'm going to mention Pyramid Lake along with that, this here. John C. Fremont, an explorer, he's the one who gave the name to Pyramid Lake up there in Nevada. He had been to Egypt, and he did see the Pyramid of Cheops. And as he came down that side, kind of the west-north side of the lake, he saw the pyramid in the lake. And sometimes we see it, the sun's on it just like that. It's very bright, and it looks just like the Egyptian pyramid. And he gave it that name. Across from that, on the other side, he may well have seen it without realizing it. There's this great edifice that locally is called the Sphinx of Pyramid Lake. I've done a big painting of it. And in that edifice are Egyptian paintings. The whole myth is there. And in that, this is here. This is Kepra. And it is, Kepra is low down where the water had once been as he is coming up out of the water. And he would be on a very rocky surface of the rock, and that replicated that there just to show here that Egypt has been very much here very, very long ago. And another one is this one here. This is Mayan, and this is painted somewhere between 1800 and basically 1,000 years ago, the classical period in Yucatan, the Mayan. And it is, you know, there you have it, El Señor Asno here. Now, of course, you have to realize there were no horses or asses here in that country at the time. So the person did make this painting without seeing that animal, so he must have seen a drawing, maybe like this. I don't know what these shields are in front of him, but it is to say that Egypt is here, has been here, and it's through all the Southwest and Mexico, so that we can have all of that understanding here. So this helps a little bit with Egypt and Turtle Island. So I think I got it. Oh, let me say one more thing. I have this up here. This is the symbol of the feather of Ma'at. So when I say wave the great feather, the feather is used by Ma'at to weigh, you know, like when you finish your life, there's the scales, and there is an Anubis or Coyote that's going to weigh the feather against your deeds, you know. So that's the symbol. Kind of, she is the moral law in that respect. So that is, you know, replicated the symbol for that. So I think that pretty well covers it for everybody. Yes, thank you.